Your person is about to find you in a big way, and it starts with, "My beloved child, hold your thoughts for just one heartbeat, because something invisible has already begun moving toward you, and by the time you recognize it, the distance between you and the person meant to find you may no longer exist." This is not the kind of story that rushes forward with loud announcements. It begins quietly, almost unnoticed. Like the first ripple on still water before the entire lake begins to change. Stay with this moment, because the very first step of this journey is rarely the one anyone expects. Your person is about to find you in a way that feels larger than coincidence. But it does not begin with a grand meeting. It starts with a shift. A subtle one. A decision made somewhere neither of you can fully see yet. Imagine waking one ordinary morning believing everything is exactly the same. While, beyond your awareness, another path has already started bending toward yours. Have you ever wondered why certain moments suddenly feel different without any visible reason? Why a familiar place suddenly carries a strange sense of anticipation? Why a simple conversation lingers in your mind far longer than it should? What if these moments are not random at all? What if they are the earliest echoes of a connection preparing to reveal itself? Listen carefully. The first sign is not their voice. It is not a message. It is not even their face. It is the feeling that life is quietly rearranging itself around you. Doors that seemed permanently closed begin opening in unexpected ways. Tiny delays become hidden opportunities. Plans you thought were certain suddenly change direction. At first, it feels confusing. Later, it begins making perfect sense. Most people mistake these moments for accidents. Very few realize they are standing inside the beginning of something extraordinary. Do not rush ahead. The greatest stories never reveal their ending during the opening scene. Instead, they leave clues. One after another. Almost like whispers carried through ordinary days. Picture this. Your person has no idea how close they truly are to discovering something that changes the way they see their future. Somewhere, they pause during an ordinary afternoon because a thought appears without warning. They cannot explain where it came from. They simply know that something inside them refuses to stay quiet anymore. That thought grows stronger. Then curiosity follows. Then questions. Questions they never asked before. Who am I really searching for? Why does it suddenly feel as though someone important already exists somewhere beyond my current world? These questions become impossible to ignore. And while they are searching outward, life is quietly guiding them inward. That is where everything begins. Because people rarely find someone meaningful until they first recognize the space that person is meant to fill. Stay a little longer. This next part changes everything. The beginning is not about chasing. It is about alignment. Imagine two travelers walking through completely different landscapes. Different cities. Different routines. Different dreams. Neither knows the other exists. Yet every choice, every lesson, every unexpected detour, slowly shapes both journeys toward a single crossing point. Would they call it luck? Perhaps. Would others call it coincidence? Probably. But those standing inside the moment know it feels far deeper than either word. Something impossible to measure. Something impossible to force. That is exactly why your story begins before either of you realize it has started. There is another detail most people overlook. Your person is becoming someone new even now. Not because someone told them to change. Because experience has quietly transformed them. Old fears lose their grip. Old expectations become smaller. Old versions of themselves begin fading away. Without realizing it, they are becoming capable of recognizing you in a way they never could before. Think about that carefully. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not finally meeting someone. Sometimes it is becoming the version of yourself that can truly see them. Now ask yourself one question. What if every delay you've questioned was never keeping you apart? What if it was preparing both paths to arrive at exactly the right moment? Do not answer too quickly. The truth often arrives more softly than certainty. Even now, tiny events are connecting like pieces of a picture that neither of you can fully see. A place you almost visited. A conversation you nearly had. A decision you almost reversed. Every one of these moments matters more than it appears. Because the story has already started. Not with a dramatic entrance. Not with impossible signs. Not with perfect timing. It starts with awareness. A quiet awareness that someone, somewhere, is moving closer to discovering exactly where they were always meant to look. And when that realization finally reaches them, nothing about the journey will feel ordinary again. So keep listening. The next chapter reveals the first unmistakable clue that tells your person they are no longer searching blindly, and once that clue appears, everything begins accelerating in ways neither of you could have imagined. A quiet question is about to become a powerful answer, and this is the moment where everything begins to move faster than either of you expected. What seemed like scattered pieces are no longer scattered. They are slowly forming a pattern. Keep listening, because the next clue is one that most people overlook, yet it changes the direction of the entire story. Your person has entered a season where ordinary moments refuse to stay ordinary. It may begin with a familiar place that suddenly feels unfamiliar. A street they've walked 100 times somehow captures their attention differently. A song they never noticed before suddenly feels deeply personal. A conversation that should have lasted only seconds stays in their thoughts long after it ends. They cannot explain why. They simply know something inside them has awakened. That is how true discoveries often begin. Not with certainty, but with curiosity that refuses to disappear. Every day, that quiet curiosity grows stronger. Instead of asking what they want next, they begin asking who they are meant to meet. Instead of chasing endless distractions, they notice details they once ignored. Their attention becomes sharper. Their heart becomes calmer. And somewhere deep inside, an unspoken feeling whispers that someone important is closer than ever before. What if this invisible pull is not leading them toward a destination, but toward you? Pause for just a second and imagine that possibility. The remarkable part is that your person is not being pushed forward by urgency. They are being drawn forward by clarity. That difference changes everything. When people move because of pressure, they often miss what truly matters. But when they move because something within them becomes clear, every step carries purpose. This is exactly where the story becomes extraordinary. Because while they are beginning to notice these quiet signals, life is placing small confirmations along their path. A meaningful phrase appears at just the right moment. An unexpected opportunity changes their routine. A simple choice leads them somewhere they never planned to be. None of these moments seem dramatic on their own. Yet together, they begin pointing in one direction. Closer. Closer than yesterday. Closer than last week. Closer than they have ever been before. There is something fascinating about moments like these. The closer people come to an important meeting, the more life seems to slow down, not because nothing is happening, but because every detail starts carrying greater meaning. They notice faces, voices, places, conversations. Even silence begins saying something. Your person feels this shift without fully understanding it. Sometimes they smile without knowing why. Sometimes they stop in the middle of an ordinary task because a strange feeling tells them to pay attention. That feeling is becoming impossible to ignore. Perhaps the most beautiful part is this. They are no longer searching for perfection. They are searching for something real. Something peaceful. Something that feels like home long before a single word is spoken. And that quiet realization prepares them to recognize what truly matters when the moment finally arrives. If this story has sparked something inside you, perhaps leave a comment sharing the one quality you hope your future connection will be built on. And if you enjoy journeys filled with hope, mystery, and meaningful possibilities, staying connected with this channel means you won't miss what comes next. Now listen carefully. There is one final clue hidden inside this chapter. Your person begins letting go of old expectations they once believed were necessary. The perfect timing. The perfect place. The perfect circumstances. Little by little, those ideas fade. Why? Because something more powerful replaces them. Trust. Not blind trust. Not wishful thinking. A calm confidence that the right meeting does not need to be forced. It only needs to be recognized. That quiet confidence changes how they move through each day. Their decisions become simpler. Their heart becomes lighter. Their eyes become more open. Without realizing it, they begin noticing opportunities they would have walked past before. And somewhere, perhaps much closer than either of you expects, your path quietly enters the edge of their world. Not dramatically. Not loudly. But unmistakably. Imagine two stories written on separate pages. For a long time, each page seems complete on its own. Then suddenly, the pages begin moving closer together until they become part of the same chapter. That is what is happening now. The distance is no longer measured by miles. It is measured by moments. One meaningful decision. One unexpected encounter. One ordinary day that refuses to remain ordinary. Before long, your person will realize they are no longer wondering if someone significant exists. They will begin feeling that the meeting itself is becoming inevitable. And when that awareness finally settles into their heart, Every choice they make afterward carries them one step nearer to the moment they have been unknowingly preparing for all along. The next chapter uncovers the unmistakable turning point, the event that makes your person stop, look around, and realize the search they thought was endless is suddenly becoming wonderfully real. Everything has been leading to this moment, but the most surprising truth has not been revealed yet. Stay with this story a little longer, because what happens now is not loud or dramatic. It is quiet, certain, and impossible to ignore once it begins. Your person has reached a place where running from their own feelings is no longer possible. For so long, they believed there would always be more time. More time to wait. More time to think. More time to wonder whether they should follow the quiet feeling growing inside them. But something changes. Not overnight. Not because someone tells them what to do. Because one ordinary moment suddenly feels extraordinary. They find themselves looking at the world differently. Conversations become more meaningful. Silence becomes more comforting. Even the smallest moments begin carrying unexpected importance. And without realizing it, they stop asking, "What if I never find the right person?" Instead, a new question quietly takes its place. What if I'm closer than I've ever been before? That single thought changes everything. Because from that moment forward, they no longer walk through life distracted. They begin noticing the details they once overlooked. A familiar place suddenly feels as though it is waiting for something. An unexpected invitation seems impossible to ignore. A simple change in routine opens a completely different path. Life has an interesting way of creating opportunities that look completely ordinary until we understand why they happened. Imagine standing before two doors. One is the path you planned. The other appears without warning. Most people choose the familiar one. But your person, this time, chooses differently. Not because they know what waits ahead. Because something deep inside quietly says, "Go." Sometimes the biggest turning point in life begins with one small decision that feels almost insignificant. Yet years later, it becomes the moment everything changed. Keep listening. The story is becoming clearer. Your person is beginning to recognize qualities they never appreciated before. Kindness over appearance. Peace over excitement. Trust over uncertainty. Depth over distraction. Without realizing it, they are preparing themselves to recognize the connection they have truly been searching for. There is no rush anymore. Only confidence. And confidence has a remarkable effect. It removes fear. It removes hesitation. It creates space for genuine moments to happen naturally. Now imagine this. Two completely separate stories have been unfolding for a long time. Neither story was incomplete. Both were growing. Learning. Changing. Becoming stronger. And now, those stories are approaching the page where they finally begin to overlap. Not because fate forces them, but because both people have become ready to recognize the value of the meeting. This is where many people expect fireworks. Instead, life offers something even more beautiful. Recognition. A feeling that says, I don't know why this feels important. But it does. That feeling cannot be manufactured. It cannot be copied. It simply arrives. And once it does, everything afterward begins making sense. Think about this for a moment. How many events once felt random until you looked back and realized they were connected all along? The same will be true here. One conversation. One unexpected opportunity. One decision to say yes instead of no. Each piece quietly fits into place. By the time your person realizes what has been happening, they will understand that the journey was never about searching endlessly. It was about becoming ready to notice what had been moving toward them all along. And perhaps the most beautiful truth of all. The meeting itself is not the ending. It is the beginning of an entirely new chapter. A chapter built on understanding instead of guessing. On presence instead of distance. On shared purpose instead of uncertainty. So don't lose sight of this story yet. The final chapter is still waiting. And when it arrives, it reveals why every delay, every unexpected turn, and every unanswered question became essential pieces of a path that was quietly leading two lives toward the same unforgettable moment. Here's part 6, continuing the cinematic flow and building toward a satisfying conclusion without making unverifiable claims as fact. The final piece is closer than it has ever been. And before this journey comes to its quiet conclusion, there is one truth you deserve to hear. Listen with an open mind, because the ending of this story is not about predicting the future. It is about recognizing how powerful hope, awareness, and meaningful choices can become when they meet at the right moment. Your person has changed. Not into someone completely different, but into someone who now notices what truly matters. The distractions that once filled every empty space no longer hold the same power. The endless searching has slowed. The constant uncertainty has become quieter. In its place is something far more valuable. Clarity. And clarity has a remarkable way of revealing opportunities that were always there but could never be seen before. Imagine the sunrise. The landscape does not suddenly appear because it was created that morning. It was always there. The light simply allows it to be seen. That is what this chapter represents. Not the creation of something impossible, but the recognition of something meaningful. Your person begins trusting the small moments again. A genuine smile. An honest conversation. A chance meeting. A familiar place viewed through new eyes. They no longer expect life to announce every important turning point with dramatic signs. Instead, they understand that the greatest moments often arrive quietly, asking only one thing in return. Your attention. Now picture this. Somewhere ahead lies an ordinary day. Nothing about it appears unusual. The clock moves as it always has. People continue their routines. The world carries on. Yet within that ordinary day exists the possibility of an extraordinary encounter. Perhaps it is a conversation that lasts a little longer than expected. Perhaps it is a decision to take a different path. Perhaps it is simply choosing to remain open instead of turning away. Sometimes life changes because of one courageous choice to notice what everyone else overlooks. And maybe that is the true beginning the title has been pointing toward all along. Your person finding you does not begin with a perfect moment. It begins with a willingness to see, to listen, to remain present. Because meaningful connections are rarely discovered by people rushing through life. They are recognized by people who have learned to slow down long enough to appreciate what is real. If this journey has given you hope or encouraged you to see life's possibilities with fresh eyes, this is a wonderful moment to share your thoughts in the comments. And if stories like this inspire you, subscribing simply means you'll be here when the next journey begins. Before this story ends, remember one final thought. Do not measure your path only by what has not happened yet. Measure it by who you have become along the way. Every lesson, every challenge, every unexpected detour. Each one has shaped your perspective. Each one has strengthened your patience. Each one has prepared you to recognize moments that might once have passed unnoticed. That preparation has value. More value than you may realize today. The future is not built from certainty alone. It is built from choices. From kindness. From courage. From remaining open to possibilities that cannot be planned in advance. So as this chapter closes, carry this message with you. Walk forward with confidence. Stay curious. Welcome meaningful moments when they arrive. And never underestimate how one seemingly ordinary day can become the page where an unforgettable story truly begins. Until our next journey together, keep your heart open, your eyes awake, and your hope alive. Because sometimes the biggest discoveries begin with the smallest step, and the